You guys are going to get pieced out today. We need it.
Yeah.
Lena asked me to come up with a church, not a church, a spiritual topic for the spiritual talk for today. Earlier than usual, because of things going on, they needed to get all of this, into the system. And it took me less than 5 minutes. I knew exactly what I wanted it to be, because I was following a group of 20 men who are Buddhist monks who were traveling 2,300 miles by foot from Texas to Washington, D.C. Does anybody else? It's one of those things that is happening, and if you are on the underground, underneath professional journalism, where you're on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, you see the things that aren't getting mentioned in the news. And so I knew that this is what I wanted to talk about. Little did I know at that time what would be going on in our world in the past 7 days. So I think this is the perfect time and place to be talking about peace. When I was a preacher's kid, well, I'm still a preacher's kid, but when I was part of the active business of churching, in the Episcopal Church, in 1979, there was a big brouhaha because they were going to rewrite the Book of Common Prayer. And instead of the old King Henry VIII version, they were going to add in a phrase, a pause for a ritual called the passing of the peace. How radical. Ooh, we're tampering with Henry VIII, much less Jesus. The thing is, back in the time of Jesus, the passing of the peace was actually a regular thing. And it's very interesting that in the 1970s, this ritual started reappearing not just in the Episcopal Church, but in the Methodist Church, in fact, in, I think, every major Christian denomination. Has anybody who has graduated from that, in particular, seen it? Catholic Church does it? Yes. Yeah. The passing of the peace. And the passing of the peace is a simple ritual where you look into the eyes of another person and you say, "May peace be with you." And the other person returns by saying, "And with you also." So let's all rise. And just turn to several people around you. You can shake hands with them if you want to, but just look into their eyes and say, "May peace be with you." And also with you.
And also with you. Tessa, peace be with you. Peace be with you.
And on.
Okay. You can sit down. Isn't it a lovely? It's a lovely thing to do. We all say hi to each other anyway when we come in, but that intentionality. And where did that come from? The renewal of this ritual. It came from dark times. Because while some of you are too young to remember, those of us oldsters remember the 1960s. When students at Ohio State University were shot by the National Guard. And where students who were demonstrating for peace were hauled off to jail in New York and in Berkeley, California. And now we have Minneapolis. So peace is a very important thing. But the seeds of peace often can come from the most challenging and terrible times too. Sometimes we look at peace and we think of it as a noun, that someday, when is peace going to come? Instead of realizing that peace is an action. It's how we live our lives. It's not just a place that somehow, somewhere we think is suddenly going to appear. So while the demonstrations have been taking place around our country over what happened in Minneapolis, at the same time, there are 20 men, I think it's about 20 men, who are Buddhist monks who left their monastery behind and started walking for peace. There was no public announcement about this. There was no newsletter saying, now hear this, we are going to walk for peace, come out and support us. They simply started walking with their begging bowls and their sleeping bags wrapped around, and started walking. And with each step they took, the words started to come out. In fact, now people are traveling across the country just to stand by the roadside where these monks are walking. And churches are opening their doors and giving them a place to stay and providing food. And it hasn't been an easy journey either. At the very beginning of this journey, there was an accident. A car plowed into they have a van that accompanies them with emergency supplies. One of the monks had to have his leg amputated because of this accident. But they kept walking. And there have been places where Christian sects that are sort of fundamentalist types of sects have been telling them that they're all going to hell because they don't believe in the right kind of religion and that type of thing. But they've kept walking. And the farther they walk, the more their presence is spreading across the United States. And people are appearing, and now they even have to have a police escort because the crowds are getting too big. So they've had to, they sort of, sometimes every once in a while they'll change their route just so that they're more out in the rural areas rather than going right through a town. So the first thing that this walk says to me that peace is not some destination out there, it's a practice. Thich Nhat Hanh probably is from the very same sect that these guys are from, because the things that I hear them say about mindful practices sound very much like Thich Nhat Hanh. And this is what one of the things that he said. Peace is not something to hope for in the future. Peace is something that we can be in every moment. If we want peace, we have to be peace. Peace is a practice. It's not a hope. And sometimes when we think about praying and praying for peace, it's awful easy for it to sometimes sound like we're just hoping instead of really being peace and really putting intentionality into peace. And why does it matter so much? And why are these people coming out at this particular time? I think it's because it counters despair. There's a certain despair that starts to happen. People can lose hope. But at the same time, this courageous and simple action reminds each of us to start walking the talk. Even down to stopping ourselves when we say we hate this and we hate that person and we hate the things that we don't believe in. So if peace really requires perfect conditions, and it's a, like, so much of religion is about, well, over there, after we get through this, we will find peace. If peace was really required perfect conditions, it would really never be practiced at all. These guys, they could have flown, just fly to New York and do your peace demonstration. They could be carrying bullhorns and saying, well, now you all need to become Buddhists, because if you don't become Buddhist, you're going to hell. Instead, they are simply walking. They are simply being. They are simply letting go of the comfort of being in their little private space, in their monastery, and going out into the world, the way Buddha did. They're walking the way that Buddha talked about, that Jesus talked about, that even in so many religions, peace and love are the way. May have gotten sidetracked by different people wanting to have power and money, but all religions basically are leading towards peace and love. So in tough times, it's really easy for us to sit back and we watch all this stuff happening on television and we feel helpless. And it's difficult because there's part of us that wants to be angry. There's part of us that feels frustrated because there's nothing that we can do. There's a real tendency to just sit down and what our wonderful inspiration from Reverend Phyllis, I love this word that she created, awfulize. Just sit around and awfulize about things instead of doing something. But what can we possibly do? Well, just a couple of things. Number one, are you registered to vote?
Nope.
Do you vote in a local election? It's easy to go and vote on the big elections, but how involved are you in what's going on right in each of us, how involved are we in local things? Have you taken the time to let your elected officials, it just takes picking up a phone. We all have them. Send an email, send a text message, pick up a phone. Not only to let them know the things you don't agree with, but also to praise them and give them positive feedback when they do something that you support. And there are good things that our elected officials are doing too. We tend to make everything all black or all white. It's not, it never is. It's gray, it's all shades of gray. And when you're out on Highway 270 and somebody cuts you off, can you bless them and know that obviously they either are very, how would I say, fragile egos, or perhaps they're in an emergency. We don't know, but we can bless them and let them go. Can you treat people with kindness and even in a disagreement? It's a terrible thing that we have to worry about what we say and who we talk to at Thanksgiving and at Christmas and family gatherings and so on and so forth. Can we let other people have their opinions and simply be peace by being still and not having to correct other people and tell them how they should be thinking? So does being peace mean that we cannot take action? I mean, not every one of us even has the ability. I know I've got the 2 hip replacements going. Hip replacements seem very popular these days.
They're hip.
For me to be standing out there with a placard standing for peace, that's a bit challenging. But this is the thing to remember. We are always praying through what we respect, what we are focusing on, what we expect, what we repeat, and what we embody. So it's important to recognize that we do have anger over the things that have happened. There was something I wanted to share with you because it came across, I think it was just this morning. Let's see if I can find it here because I copied and pasted it. So we can all picture how we would like to be peaceful, even in the face of all that's going on. But at the same time, justifiably, we all also feel anger. And one of the greatest things that Thich Nhat Hanh, and I believe these Buddhist monks are also teaching, is that we need to recognize our anger. And we need to put our arms around it and embrace it instead of resisting it. And this is what he means. I'm going to read this off to you. Once we have recognized our anger, we embrace it. And Thich Nhat Hanh has a wonderful, simple way of describing things, as you'll see. This is the second function of mindfulness, and it is a very special practice. Instead of fighting, we are taking good care of our emotions. If you know how to embrace your anger, something will change. It's like cooking potatoes. You cover the pot and you add the water, and the water needs to boil for at least 20 minutes for these potatoes to cook. Your anger is kind of a potato. You cannot eat a raw potato, but when it's softened, you can eat it. Mindfulness is like the fire cooking the potatoes of anger. The first few minutes of recognizing and embracing your anger with tenderness can bring results. You get some relief. The anger is still there, but you do not suffer so much anymore because you know how to take care of your baby, the anger. It is born of you. And so the function of mindfulness is soothing, relieving. Anger is there, but it is being taken care of. The situation is no longer in chaos with a crying baby left all alone. Instead, the mother is there to take care of the baby, and the situation is under control. So I think we need to recognize that yes, we have anger in us, and yet we're trying to be peaceful. So how can we adjust those two things? The poet, it's another thing that I came up with when I was doing some research on this. There's a poet named David White who brought out something that makes so much sense, but I think can really help us deal with the anger that we might be feeling. And that is to recognize how close anger is to the deepest river of caring. If you've ever seen a picture of a young mother racing out into the middle of their street because her toddler wandered out into the middle of the street, does that mother just pick up the little child and say, "Oh, sweetie pie, it's not good to be in the street. You might get, oh no." No, she said, "Don't you ever get in that street again, I will." Anger is so close to love. And when we soften our anger and recognize that it's coming because we care, and that there is a positive root for this anger, then yes, we can go out and demonstrate, we can do whatever, but we come from a caring place rather than a place of hate. So yes, the times today, they're troubling. But you know, we have gone through these times before, and any of you who are living back in the 60s knows we've made it before. But now we know the way is peace. So in closing, I'd like to just share a song that was very popular, certainly in most New Age churches, certainly out in California when I was going. In fact, Karen Drucker, who wrote that first song, she was, when I went to it was the Church of Religious Science in Santa Rosa, she was I believe she was our music director in the earlier days. So, but I love this. It's so perfect. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me, and let this be the moment now. With every step I take, I let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.